introduce to you our final speaker. He's a witness and survivor of the last war in Mullivaikkal in 2009. He's a doctor trained by the Medical College of the de facto state of Tamil. He's also a victim and survivor of that massacre. He had a medical career spanning over 15 years in the northeast of Sri Lanka, serving mostly as a trauma surgeon in the war-torn region and witnessed many of the genocidal acts against Tamils. He is Dr. V. Tharmaratnam.
Good evening to you all. It's a very rare opportunity for me to speak about my horrible, unbelievable, and systematically censored story regarding my 15 years of life as a medical doctor for an innocent, neglected group of people living in a remote and neglected but strategic corner of the world, which happened just a few years ago in these modern and enlightened times of the world's history. I was a sworn doctor educated by the Medical College of Tamil to save every single threatened human life which came across my way. I fought to save the lives of babies in the womb, children, youngsters, pregnant mothers, elders, fighters, and Sri Lankan soldiers. I am myself suffering from post-traumatic symptoms and flashbacks of the long bloody war, which I thought will never come out to light. It was very unfortunate for me to witness innocent civilians of all ages being deliberately targeted by the indiscriminate artillery fire onto the so-called no-fire zone, while the Sri Lankan government was proclaiming zero casualty rescue to the world. My makeshift hospital, which included staff from the government side and the LTTE side, moved along with the people from Mannar to Mullivaikkal. There was a shortage of staff, blood bags, antibiotics, anesthetics, painkillers, gauze and cotton, while we received massive casualties. The wound healing processes lengthened due to malnutrition. We managed with available resources, as we have had enough experience to cope up with the long-term economic sanctions of medical resources. Despite us informing about the locations of the hospitals and civilian concentrations to the Sri Lankan authorities, the hospital was targeted by the artillery fire and several air strikes, even when it was clearly marked with the Red Cross flag on the roof and ambulances parked in front. Few wounded civilians and a uniformed nurse died on the spot in the makeshift hospital, which was situated in the killing zone that was first announced as a no-fire zone by the Sri Lankan authorities. We made it sure with the LTTE to keep their weapons at least a mile away from the boundaries of the hospitals, and they complied with our requests. Finally, I decided to avoid putting up the Red Cross markings and the parking of ambulances which identify the hospitals, taking flack from the regional director of health service who was working on the ground. The makeshift hospital was never targeted thereafter. I was wounded badly in a heavy shelling near to my hospital while I was sleeping in the daytime. My team took me as one of their case on the terrible day. I joined the other wounded staff with the patients. I finally withdrew the hospital on the 15th of May 2009, leaving behind a couple of serious patients connected with the IV drips. In the smoke and fire, flames passing through the dead bodies heaped on both sides of the exit way. I am one of the very few lucky survivors who escaped all the filterings and barriers which could have resulted in me being listed one among the missing or the dead. I think it is important to remember that the families of all of those who died are still waiting for the justice to be delivered to them. And the international community must continue to pressure Sri Lanka to cooperate with the UN for true accountability and justice to be attained. I would also like to conclude by remembering the distinguished guests who have joined us today, that though the war against Tamils is now over, there is ongoing rights abuses and the subjugations for the Tamil community by the Sri Lankan military continues unabated in the north and east of Sri Lanka. There is one Sinhalese military soldier for every 5 Tamil civilians, resulting in a climate of fear and impunity for human rights violations. Land of displaced Tamils continues to be occupied by the military and the Sri Lankan state, whilst any civilian dissent is clamped down. Several Tamil political prisoners detained under the Prevention of Terrorism Act remains indefinitely detained under reports of torture in detention. I urge the British government to apply concrete pressure on Sri Lanka to cooperate with the UN investigation into mass atrocities, restore normalcy by demilitarizing the Tamil North East and release detained political prisoners. Thank you very much.